Hi ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Genshin Impact 1.6's second part, or latter half, is now in commence. We have Kazuha, as well as potentially some new events, and of course we still have the amazing event that's going on currently, which is the Legend of the Vagabond Sword, which is fantastic, and we also have, of course, Kazuha's main story quest, which I believe actually does lead us into Inazuma, and actually is quite a hefty quest. I do think it's more than just Kazuha's companion quest. I think it's actually it's like a main story mission that's gonna be pinnacle in our progression into 1.7. But I digress. Ladies and gentlemen, today we're gonna be covering Kazuha, messing around with him in the test arena, and also one of the things I didn't mention is the banners. I didn't make a video on it because we kind of made a weird video about it on YouTube for our streams. But yes, we have Kazuha, we got Rosaria, Razor, and of course Bennett. This team is stacked like you would not believe, except there are characters to come that are just nutty. That is my only advice for anyone who doesn't want to be spoiled. Too bad. Like not too bad isn't like too bad you're getting spoiled anyway, but too bad isn't like you don't want to look into that many spoilers. But again, if just a little bit would be, there's certain characters coming. The next one, speculatively, is going to be a certain kind of cryo girl who's gonna kick some ass in a big way. In a big way. And also she's mechanically interesting. You know, Kazuha can like do a bump up in the air and then come crashing down, while this person can literally atomize into like cryo particles and functionally functions around stuff like that. And she is main DPS though, so again, that's why the banner is scaled the way it is. Again, you got a main DPS like Razor, you got also a pretty decent DPS as Rosaria. I'm not sure about that anymore, but anyways, Bennett, just a fantastic support, and of course Kazuha as also a support. They can also be damage based, especially with the new buffs to Elemental Mastery, which were probably made for Kazuha. Things can go, and you can start cooking pretty fast with that. Also, for those guys who are unaware, yeah, in the whole world right now, or at least in the West, we're getting ripped to shreds by the environment. Oh great, we can't do it here. Great. It is so goddamn hot that if you go outside, you're probably gonna die. As a Canadian, I'm used to the cold being to that extent, but not to the heat. And it's just a living nightmare. Second thing, you may be like, hey GRINN, I really didn't want to say this, but you look like absolute shit. Best of intentions, but it's rough. Yes, my friend. I had the second shot of my Pfizer COVID weirdness vaccine thing yesterday, and I just brushed off my first one like it was nothing, little sore arm, and that's it. Oh my god, my second shot is ripping me to shreds, my dude. I haven't been sick for like 3 years, and I'm just like, oh, that's why we do all the precautions, like take the right vitamins and exercise. It is so bad, dude. I feel so tired. I'm just, if I slur my words and shit, it's because I'm just mentally not there. Oh, I got a headache. I fucking had like cold symptoms, like I was roasting or I was freezing last night, but no matter how much I bundled up, I was still freezing. And of course it's fucking heat. We're in like the hottest time ever, so it didn't help that, again, yeah, it's rough. But then nevertheless, Kazuha is here, and of course I want to mess around with our new Animo slash fucking Elemental Mastery King slash little bump king. Boom, little bounce. Now, the thing is on a 4-second cooldown. For those guys who do not know what Kazuha is all based around, he's very much Elemental Mastery, and the ways his kit can kind of affect that, which is actually pretty interesting. So first things first, is Kazuha is not necessarily a main DPS in the way of main attacking. If anything, his DPS comes from this, weirdly enough, doing a damage hit, bouncing yourself up into the air, and then of course smashing down. Now similar to a Venti or a Sucrose, his ult is just a massive amount of utility, and it's just fantastic in that regard. So long story short, his main attack is probably not going to be something you're going to utilize too much, or at least I wouldn't advise it, because it doesn't seem like he's going to be that. Again, if you want to play him as a main DPS, it's just going to be it's going to be a character which you can switch around. So if you really like the gameplay of like switching to this character, using his E, using his alt, switching back to another character, using their E, using their alt, and then kind of using everyone as a kind of a support slash DPS kind of build, you can go about it like that, and this character works specifically good for that just because of the way his alt's amazing. His alt's on like a 15-second cooldown and an 8-second duration, and with the way you're generating particles, and it's only cost 60, so you're going to be able to do this constantly, and it scales pretty well. So yeah, it's just going to be really, really good. What are his passive talents though? Because that's something I didn't actually even know about. Okay, so when our E comes into contact with okay, so when you use our E and it comes into contact with one of the elements, of course, not Geo. Okay, then you use a plunge attack. I also think there's like a little downtime that you need to use your plunge attack. So yeah, it's a little fucky, if that makes any sense. Oh my god, it will deal an extra 200% attack absorption of the element. That's pretty good, 200%, Jesus. Yeah, that's solid. And what is this one? Upon triggering swirl reactions. Oh yeah, this one was, I heard about this. So basically, if you, Kazuha, this is something I did not know about, but this is pretty hefty. If you, whatever you swirl with, so if you hit someone with your E, basically you are going to, whatever you swirl with your E or your alt, I think it's maybe you're just your E, regardless, you're getting 30% elemental resistance or damage, sorry, elemental damage to that character. So not only if you're rocking, ideally, the Viridescent Veneer set, which they have him on, which is going to decrease enemies' resistance to the element that you're swirling, you're also going to be dealing more of that damage with whatever subsequent character that you have that also deals that damage, i.e. a Hu Tao, a Bennett, Diluc, that kind of thing. So yeah, also you're just increasing your swirl damage. So again, for those guys who do not know how to build him, it seems like he's the same way you'd build Aventi, is the same way you'd build Kazuha, which is giving him a shit ton. As you guys can see, almost 1,000, 745. Yeah, that's just a lot of swirl / elemental mastery, which is very, very good, specifically with his alt. So again, so one of the things you can do with Venti, which is pretty nuts, and what you can also do with Kazuha, is you can infuse their alt with an element. So if you have high elemental mastery and you freeze an enemy, so say if you freeze an enemy, or you have to do it like this: switch to Bennett, apply fire onto an enemy, use Kazuha, his alt will now be infused with pyro. And now, if you wanted, you could switch to a character like a Shincho or Rosaria alt and stick it into the zone as well. Basically, you're constantly applying a cryo. So you are applying the cryo, and then your swirl is detonating. And why I think Kazuha kind of beats Venti in this regard a little bit is because Kazuha's alt, you're about to see, is on a pretty lengthy time interval. So it goes pulse, wait for it, pulse, whereas Venti is just like, it's just like 1,000 little tiny slashes with his winds, so it's kind of hard to make it so that Venti detonates, or Venti swirl detonates the cryo. Whereas for Kazuha, I think it's going to be significantly easier. Now, unfortunately, we can't exactly show this because they only gave us 2 characters, which is shitty, but they're also trying to show you how absolutely broken Kazuha is. Now, anyways, not broken, he's just very, very good in a very, very fun, playful way. Again, I would still advise, if you're a spender in this game, then sure, you know what you want and you can viably get that. But if you're free to play, all I know is that there's 2 characters coming out, which we know about. Oh, I don't even need to tiptoe around it. Ayaka is coming probably next. I forgot they told us. Ayaka and Yumiya, or Yumi, sorry, or Yumiya, is coming out, and yeah, they both seem fantastic, but they're both main DPSs. But Kazuha is also not a character that I don't think fits in easily with anybody, but although I think he probably could, it's just not like a Shincho, where it's just like your DPS permanently benefits from him. You have to like switch to this character and use him. Again, he's very much more the person that like a Venti, where you switch to them, use their abilities, you burn their alt, and then switch off of them until their abilities come back, and then do that. But for a Shincho, it's almost like, no, you want to use this ability perfectly in the right sequence so that your DPS, like a Hu Tao, can just shred because of the vaporize and all that stuff. But anyways, also, one thing to note is that we have this, and we can do like a slam like that, and we'll cause this wind torrent. Now, apparently, if you wait a couple seconds, we'll finally build up this special chart. So if you got a bump, and then hit. Yeah, so you can see there's like, and it's weird. You can feel like you hit the button to attack, and your person will not do it just yet. So you wait, and then hit. And yeah, also you can do a charge jump, which is pretty cool too. We just go like this, and I believe it auto does it more or less. But again, I still think you don't want to just jump up and then smash down. You want to wait for it, jump all the way up, hold, and then smash. Also, one thing we didn't check out is Perfectly made for Kazuha's sword, which is giving you almost 200 elemental mastery out the cuff, which is nuts. Increases damage by 10% when this character wields this element, triggers an elemental reaction. They gain a sigil of rebellion. This effect can be triggered once every 5 seconds and can be triggered even if the said character is not on the field. When you possess 2 sigils of rebellion, all of them will be consumed. And all nearby party members will attain a Song of Resistance for 12 seconds. Increasing your normal charge damage and plunge damage by 16%, and increases your attack by 20% once this effect is good. Yeah, I don't know. I guess it makes sense. It's a support weapon, but it just seems, I think it's like too specific to Kazuha. The fact that the person who's wielding it has to do elemental swirl effects is a little fucky to me. Yeah, I don't know. This one seems a little less good, to be honest. But anyways. Yeah, let's just jump in and play with him, guys. I feel like shit, guys. I really hope you're being patient with me, because I don't feel great. But anyways, we're trying to make things happen. Alright, so again, his basic attack, terrible. His charge attack, although it looks dope, is not really what we're after. We're gonna do one of these. And yeah, just that is already really, really good. And we can, of course, keep the wet status on there. And again, they gave him enough elemental recharge that he can kind of constantly back-to-back his things. Yeah, see, like there, I don't think I detonated my special whirlwind thing, so that's on me. But even still, also I could just do a press and then a smash. He got me a little bit there. We're gonna apply the wet status here. We're gonna do this again. We're gonna apply the water. There we go. Now it's that. Yeah, see, I'm not doing that. I think I need to wait a little bit longer before I'm able to actually think. But yeah, this swirl, boom. Wait for it. Oh, okay, so it's basically on just a huge cooldown. Is basically so it's not going to be constant. So which is actually to your benefit, because you can apply if it's fire based, your swirl is proccing with fire, then you can apply water and make it vaporize, and be the reason why you need it to happen in that way, or you don't need it to happen in that way, but it's because you want how elemental mastery works in the game is the person with the highest amount of elemental mastery that detonates the combination. So whether that be a superconduct, a shatter, or a swirl, or an overload, or whatever, or a melt, or vaporize, the person who has the highest elemental mastery and detonates it will get their damage, or their elemental mastery as the trigger. So their elemental mastery will be taken into account. So that's why you want to basically make sure that Kazuha's ult is the thing that's triggering the reaction. So if your timing's off and Kazuha's ult is applying the fire, and then we switch to a Barbara and we're applying the wet status, and then we're not going to be hitting that hard because Barbara doesn't have a high amount of attack or anything like that. Nor elemental mastery. So it's not going to be detonating for that hard. So you want to make sure that Kazuha is the thing that's completing the reaction, not just applying the setup and then other character like a Barbara who's supposed to be the person who's the base and not the detonation, or the fuse and not the trigger. You want to make sure Kazuha is the trigger, and the other character like a Shincho or like any person's ult who can constantly output an element, Mona's E, whatever, is the thing that's applying the fuse, and of course letting Kazuha be the trigger. But yeah, again, I was not doing a couple things really good here. Again, I'm trying to wait to do it perfectly, but that may not happen. But again, it does seem like they gave him an absolute boatload of abilities, or again, they made him pretty good here. And again, Kazuha does feel pretty fun because you can just do this little bump and then smash, and then again, most things in this turret will just die. And again, we have our ult, so it's not like it's a weird nightmare. And yeah, yeah, but see how that's on a pretty hefty time window? And again, his ult always comes back. Very rarely do I ever feel like I'm like, oh fuck, I need to wait 2 seconds in order to be able to use it again. Oh wait, I already have it because this generates a shit ton of particles, and it's just kind of a fun, weird mess. But a fun mess at that. But anyways, and again, I think there's a special timing to that I'm not really perfect at yet. But maybe one day. I don't know what why you would ever use the hold ability. It just seems like it's not as valuable as the other stuff. And again, you can switch to Kazuha and just get a massive payout of damage, which I think is the kind of goal with Kazuha. And yeah. Oh, see, like right there. Oh, see, like that's what we want. That's a fire infused one. So if we could give Barbara. Oh, I kind of want to see if we can make that happen. Okay, just die, all you random bastards. Again, I don't even need to use my ult. I can just keep using this. And just with the craziness of elemental mastery, we don't need much of anything else. Oh wait, you're the guy. Oh, the slime is what I want. Okay, perfect. Okay, let's do this. Oh, I don't think we can really see it. But yeah, basically what I want to see is I'm not going for Kazuha, so I can't really see. But the thing I want to see is if how big the detonation is on that swirl heading. But regardless, again, it's elemental mastery, and you'll see this with like Venti and Sucrose's as well. Is they're just not the same damage that especially we're used to now that Eula came out, which is just big ass numbers hitting for like 40k or 20k per swing. Whereas Kazuha is like it's a massive AoE soup. It's a soup of damage basically, so it's hard to kind of recognize its benefit to the extent in which it is. But bottom line is similar to a Razor situation. Most things die within like a couple hits, and yeah, nothing's gonna get farther than that. So yeah, but regardless, this is Rosaria. We know her quite well. She's fantastic. She's pretty crazy. How did they build her? Pretty okay. Let me guess. Did they build her for physical DPS weird build? Oh, they did. Oh, this is lovely, actually. So there's a video that's probably going to frustrate a lot of you, but basically I tried to make a physical DPS Rosaria, and what did they give you for your talents? Okay, well, that's not great. but yeah, I tried to see if Rosaria could be a pretty good main DPS, and if they gave her 8 out of 8 talents, that's pretty damn good. And her artifacts gave her a silly amount of critical rate plus critical damage, or critical damage is a little lacking, but the physical damage should be enough to see if she can actually pull her weight. But it's funny that they didn't give her anybody else besides this, but she's hitting for, she's still only hitting for like 4k or something like that. Her charge attack, like after we get a kill, it's a little less bad, but yeah, okay, I feel less bad. Okay, so there's a video I made where we showcased Rosaria with my ability, and yeah, I just thought it was a little underwhelming. Her DPS, like her DPS basically, like every now and again it hit for 4k, and that's because they never leveled up her talent, but her talent doesn't get that high of multipliers anyway, so I was kind of like, oh no, did I fuck up the video? But no, she has 8 out of 8 talents here, and she has a shit ton of physical resistance, and she's still not dealing stupid amounts of base physical damage. Again, she doesn't mean she's a bad physical DPS, it just means that I don't think she's the best. Again, we're hitting for 2,000 to 3,000. Again, with my Razor, I can just smash. But again, my Razor's only a DPS, whereas Rosaria can also be a bunch of other fantastic things, such as a person that can massively accelerate your critical rate, which is incredibly, incredibly valuable. Alright. And of course, the man that shall not be underwhelmed or undervalued, and this is of course Bennett. Bennett, fantastic. I wonder how they built our boy, Benny Boy, the character in the game that I think is in the most need of a new skin, because he looks really, really stupid, but he is so fun, and his personality is actually pretty wonderful as well, and there it is. So they gave Benny a shit ton of energy recharge, with nothing else, right? Yeah, no, they built Bennett perfectly for support Bennett. Yes, you can build Bennett for a weird DPS sub thing, but it's kind of a little harder and a little harder for stats. Bennett is one of the reasons why Bennett's so fantastic, is because he is so easy to build. You could literally just find one goblin, or you could go a full piece of elemental Noblesse Oblige, and that's pretty good. Now you're getting 20% more damage whenever you activate his ult. But you could take him a little further and actually give him energy recharge. Now you could have that in your substats, you could have that in one of your specific artifacts, specifically I believe it's like your watch. Your watch you can have energy recharge. And yeah, you basically just have enough to get by. But you can go a step further than that and get a shit ton of energy recharge, so much so that if you just use your E once, which I believe is what we're going to have to do because they gave us a stupid amount of energy recharge, we're going to have our ult. So you're basically going to be able to back-to-back his ult, and you guys might be saying, well, wait, GRINN, why is that so important that Bennett has his ult quickly, and why are we building him to kind of be that thing? Well, first of all, Bennett's ult is the best, or one of the best in the games. You basically put down this giant zone, and it will heal you up to 70% of your max HP. But it scales off of Bennett's healing, or his HP, sorry. So if you build Bennett really, really tanky and really, really like durable, he's going to basically just be able to heal you for a couple ticks per second, and that's pretty amazing. So that's why if you're going to go a little bit farther into Bennett, energy recharge on one of your last 3 items or your artifacts, and then try to go for HP. Or at least that'd be my advice. Another thing that is, again, much more of the reason why Bennett's such an endgame player is because when you are in Bennett's ult, you are getting a stupidly high jump to your damage. Not only that, there's something in the game called snapshotting. So if you are in Bennett's ult and you use another character's ability that's on the field for like a long duration, they're going to be able to take the benefits of having that amplified damage long past Bennett's ult going away. So it's really, really good in that regard. And Bennett's also just a fun character. He's got a lot of weird, like, he blows himself up, he's notoriously unlucky, all these fun things. But yeah, Bennett's basically just one of the best support characters in the game, if not the best, just because he does not only damage amplification, but he also buffs your healing, and he always has his ult, and he also is fire, which is super valuable. So yeah, Bennett is pretty nutty, pretty crazy, pretty cracked. And yeah, we're also going to do this just to generate some particles. We're going to do this, keep generating them particles, and now he has his ult, and now if we wanted, we could do this, and we could do this. So now her ult's going to be instant, so it's going to deal even more damage. We're going to keep switching to Bennett. Also, Bennett's E comes back so quickly, so we already have our ult back, and that's not just because we're in this domain in which we have an amplified effect like that. We're also going to do this. That's going to take off a big chunk of his shield, and he's going to wreck him. Now, also, if you have more and more constellations for Bennett, he's just going to become more and more crazy, which is wonderful. Let's do this, and that's gonna, yeah, melt him, and he's dead. Okay, one more thing I wanted to bring up though. Bennett is amazing, but he is perfect when he gets to Constellation 2. The reason why is because Constellation 1 attack increase no longer has an HP restriction on getting the 20% of Bennett's basic. Yeah, so basically one of the things that Bennett suffers from is if you on a passive without any of his abilities, you will heal up to 70%, and when your character is at 70% healed, then you will get the attack buff, which is a little unfortunate, but if you're going to build him for healing, it's honestly not that bad. It's not a huge thing, but it's just kind of nice because sometimes when you're in Spiral Abyss, the 2 seconds of not being able to deal damage can be pretty punishing if you have like a character that does a lot of their damage in a window and you just happen to not have that attack buff going. If you build him for HP, or yeah, you're gonna always have that, so it's not the biggest problem. But I digress. Anyways, Constellation 2 is when Bennett's HP falls below 70%, his energy recharge is increased by 30. This is huge. This gives Bennett, again, the ability to basically. This is where you can start building Bennett in a bunch of different ways. You can actually build him in a DPS kind of place and get by in that regard, because that allows you to basically get your energy back way faster, and it's just way better in that regard. But yeah, Bennett, fantastic. And of course, my boy Razor, which I guarantee my Razor is better than their Razor, but let's see how they did it. But yes, fully invested Razor is nuts. Again, it's an undervalued character because I've rambled on about this far too long, and I'm going to do it even more within the coming weeks because of something that I've done. But anyways, point being is that Razor's incredibly good. God, I'm really fucking losing it in terms of just me being a little under the weather. But again, Razor intrinsically works within himself perfectly. His ult immediately amplifies his base attack, which scales incredibly well. His E just lets you basically never not have his ult, and you have AoE, you have single target damage, you have an insane attack speed, you're constantly outputting Electro, and it's just madness. Also, he is just perfectly synergizing within his kit, always able to utilize every advantage that his kit gives him. Again, there are other characters in the game that I don't necessarily think have that at their disposal, which is why Razor is just so good. Not only that, but he is also just aesthetically awesome. I think he looks badass as a character. How did they build you, buddy? Not very good. They gave you not that much crit damage, they gave you too much energy recharge, and they gave you not the greatest amount of physical DPS. So they built him kind of sloppy, which is not good. But they also built him very free to play. And with that being said, though, my Bennett's more or less, or not my Bennett, my Razor's more or less free to play as well. But yes, we're gonna do one of these. We're gonna do this. We're gonna melee. And again, he's dealing 7,000 to 5,000 damage right here, again, in contrast to Rosaria. Pretty massive. So yeah, we're also gonna do this. And now we're gonna do this. This. Oh, I should have done that a little bit closer near people, but yes, Razor is just going to be able to shred everything a little too quickly. So yeah, again, that's the power of a fully invested DPS. Not even close, actually. It's not very fully invested. They didn't do a lot of stuff with him. Yeah, for instance, we were hitting for 6,000 to 7,000 there, which is more than enough to get by for most things in the game, wizards and all. But my razor hits for 20,000, and you can hit for that incredibly quickly. So again, Razor's fantastic. I'll go on about this within the next couple videos where we do a lot of stuff with Razor. But ladies and gentlemen, I'm probably gonna not record until I feel better, but I would like to make a video on this Kazuha, basically taking us into the next big swing of Genshin, which should be a huge endeavor, especially considering a lot of us have a hunch of what's to come. But anyways, give me the Primo Gems, give me the experience books, give me the... Okay, yeah, so also, side thing, just to really kind of cement things in a way, if you do wish on Kazuha's banner, it's not bad. Again, I don't think that's what anybody is saying. Kazuha's banner is amazing, especially if you're just getting into the game, because every single one of these characters that's in the banner, including Kazuha, is incredibly valuable, can be really, really good. But another thing that people are kind of mentioning, and I hope I've kind of given you guys some ease with especially with videos to come, of if you happen to spend on this banner and you happen to get like 2 or 3 of Razors, you're fine. Like, you can have one of the best DPSs in the game and clear everything in the game with ease if you invest in that character enough. Done. Like, it's no need for any more words. But the reason why people are saying be a little bit careful with this is because in Genshin Impact, the only thing that you really need is one really, really good DPS. That could be a Hu Tao, that could be... Well, also, again, I should make it clear. A DPS that doesn't require too much singular help. So there's DPSs like a Hu Tao, like a Xiao, which are good, but you need certain other characters to make them good. So if you have no way of healing yourself really well, then it's going to be a little bit harder to play certain characters. Now, everyone has a Barbara, so you can kind of heal with Xiao and Hu Tao, but yeah. Whereas if you play a Razor, if you play a Diluc, if you play a... I'm not thinking of the other characters right now, but if you play characters that don't need any help, a Eula, they basically are self-contained monsters, that can be really, really good. But again, the main thing that people are trying to talk about is the fact that, again, in Genshin, you just really need one character that's good. One main DPS that's good, that's kind of the tip of your spear. That can kind of cut through most of the things in the game. And again, that's not that none of these characters can do that. Again, every character in this, with maybe exception to Rosaria, but Rosaria, if you have enough constellations for her, can be fucking amazing, especially as a support character. But again, if you happen to super invest in your artifacts, you don't need necessarily a crazy amount of crit rate unless you're going to specifically build for her for that. But yeah. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, hopefully you guys do enjoy the rest of your day. This is going to be it for me. As of the weapon banner, don't fucking buy a weapon banner. It's a nightmare. It's trash. It's also, the weapon on it is not that good, and frankly, this one, it wasn't good as either. This one was also not great. But I digress. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to throw up. Oh, I got a headache. Anyways, hopefully you guys are putting up with the heat wave really well. Hopefully, if you guys did get your second shot, you did better than me. And I can't wait to see Kazuha's story, and I can't wait for, honestly, I can't wait for 1.7. I'll be honest, I'm really waiting for 1.7 at this point. I think most of us are. We're just like, 20 days. We can wait that long, and hopefully the events are fucking popping off. But ladies and gentlemen, hey, thank you so much for watching. Hey, goodbye. Does that count? I don't know.